No medium does redemption quite like anime, but there's one redemption that's intricate, flush with rich storytelling, and has a perfect payoff, and yet people constantly criticize it. Why is that? I wish I knew. So in this video, I'm going to set the record straight, often using his own words, to show Bakugou's redemption is not only earned, but brilliant. Let's kick this off by clearing some things up. People often say Bakugou has a superiority complex, and I disagree. In fact, I think most people who talk about him have no clue what they're talking about. And that's because he's the opposite of everything you expect from a shonen character. His actions aren't explained by a tragic backstory, there's no talk no jutsu moment where everything clicks, and there's not a singular consequence that radically changes him. He's different, and all the better for it. Also, since the main critique of Bakugou's redemption is he didn't do enough, I'm not going to focus so much on his misdeeds, but on proving his story did plenty. What you need to understand is there are two key elements that inform his ideology. Most people recognize the first one. The shipping has gone way too far. Bakugou gained an extremely powerful quirk, and this gives him main character syndrome. But most people miss the second one, his idolization of All Might. Both he and Deku both loved All Might, but for two completely separate reasons, and this is the foundation for the conflict between them. Bakugou sees a man with overwhelming power who always wins. Deku sees someone who saves others. Both are true, but are not the same thing. While doing research, I saw a great post I highly recommend you guys check out. It says, Bakugou's mindset can be broken down into one core idea. If you're capable of doing it, then you should. Bakugou is strong, so he's capable. Needing help means you're weak. This is when his inferiority complex seeps in. Because when Deku, someone who isn't strong, who isn't capable, offers his hand to Bakugou, in his head, he's being told he's weak. Because he's so self-reliant, he literally can't comprehend Deku's perspective. It can only be that Deku is looking down on him. For a dude whose name literally means great victory, that's not gonna fly. How many military references do you need to know strength and winning are the most important things to him? It's the same thing when Deku rushes to save him from anime's version of the Blob. Except here, Deku's more likely to die than save Bakugou. This can't be explained as being looked down on. Bakugou can't make sense of it. It's at this point that he starts seeing Deku as a rival. Bakugou wants to be a hero, so does Deku. He wants to go to UA, so does Deku. He wants to be number one, ditto. Then out of nowhere, Deku gets an amazing quirk of his own. Bakugou's ahead now, but that could change at any moment, and he's constantly looking over his shoulder. He says it himself, once they got to UA, nothing went as planned. When they meet up in a battle trial, he has a chance to show Deku hasn't passed him. Bakugou's sole focus is to prove he's better, and while he wins the battle, he loses the war, because once again, he and Deku's priorities didn't align. Deku relied on others, and that's why he won. In the first event of the UA Sports Festival, Deku beats him again. Sure, Bakugou ended up winning the sports festival in the end, he was at the top of the class, but those were things that were supposed to happen. He's capable of those things, therefore he should achieve them. However, Deku was able to draw out Todoroki's flames, Bakugou couldn't, making his victory hollow. Also, some say his ego forces him to underestimate others, and I don't agree with that at all. Look at how intently he studies every other match of the festival. He takes everyone seriously and wants to be as prepared as possible to guarantee success. That's part of being capable. He never looked down on Kirishima or Uraraka and said as much. This plays into a fascinating part of his character. To this point, Bakugou has come off as a douche and a bully. He literally told Deku to go off himself. I legitimately thought he would never be redeemed. He felt like the antagonist of the first season. And we're led to believe that he's this cliche bully, and this is not at all the case. First, Bakugou is more than pure strength. He's brilliant, and we see this constantly. Near the top of the class, the way he's constantly tinkering with and adapting his blasts in combat. He's the only person who found out the truth about Deku and All Might on his own. He understands Deku's multiple quirks couldn't be kept quiet. Bakugou is consistently shown to be one of the most intelligent characters in the series. Then there's the biggest fundamental misunderstanding of his character. When he's kidnapped by the League of Villains, I thought it was more likely than not that Bakugo would end up a villain, so I was stunned when he didn't even consider Shigaraki's offer. That's because I didn't understand him at the time. When you break him down to his core, of course he'd never become a villain. He fully embraces heroism, but he only understands part of what that means. The kidnapping is particularly meaningful for his story in several ways. First, it's a humiliating experience and another failure. But there's this little detail that's often missed. When he's taken and Deku rushes towards him, the normally hot-tempered Bakugo is silent, except to say, "Deku, don't." Again, Deku can't possibly win here, so why is he even trying? This isn't adding up. We'll get back to this. Perhaps the most important part, even more so than having to be saved, is what he feels he lost. In his mind, All Might came to rescue him, and in the process, lost his power and had to retire. It's his fault. That's immediately followed by the hero license exams where he fails to pass, and it's all tied back to his core belief. When he defeats enemies, aka wins, he sees no need to assist further. Civilians should be able to take care of themselves while he goes on to face other threats. They're capable of that, so why don't they do it? His failure is a direct result from his lack of understanding what heroism is. After this string of failures, Bakugo needs to prove to himself once and for all he's still ahead of Deku, and this is where they begin to understand each other. Bakugo verbalizes his feelings for the first time. "Don't you dare worry about me. You got so much better and I destroyed All Might. Everyone has to know it's my fault." Bakugo obsesses over the fact that he thinks he's weak and not good enough. It's All Might who sets the record straight. They are two pieces of the superhero pie, but neither is complete on their own. Ironically, they lack what the other has. In Bakugo's case, he needs to learn how to save others. All this time he's been searching for answers, and finally he has some. That's what he was missing in the license exam. His self-reliance forced him to deem assistance as unnecessary, and every experience he's had since getting into UA has told him he's wrong. Not only does he need to rely on others, he needs to work with them too. Whether it's working with Kirishima when UA is invaded, the cavalry battle at the sports festival, being kidnapped, failing his exam, or even the band performance at the school festival, this is something that's been consistently touched on, and to his credit, it's something he's noticed. In the joint training battle, we see his growth. He seems the same on the surface, but this constant barrage of failures has impacted him, and now he's aware of the underlying reason why. For the first time, he uses real teamwork in a fight. He says, "When you're in danger, I'll protect you. You better do the same." And when he's called out during the battle for being different, he rightfully says he hasn't changed, his goal has always been the same. He simply realizes the methods to achieve that goal aren't what he originally thought. Now he just needs to learn how to save. Then what do you know? He ends up having to work with Deku under Endeavor, where they can watch and learn from each other. It's telling that when he's asked why he's there, Bakugo says, "I'm here to figure out what I can't do." And that perfectly lines up with everything we've learned about him. Raw power doesn't make you truly strong. Something that never made sense to Bakugo is that when Deku saved him from the sludge villain, he says his body moved on its own. Poetically, when Deku is in danger of being killed by Shigaraki, it's Bakugo's body that moves on its own to get in the way. He's finally learned what Deku's known all along, how to save. Here's the thing, he learns his lesson before Deku does. This is perfectly illustrated in the Bakugou arc. Deku has reached a point where no one is on his level. Also, he's a target now, so his very existence is a threat to his friends, so he leaves. He tries to be All Might, but this is a different era than the one All Might inherited. One person can't do everything alone, especially when everyone's lives are at stake. It's Bakugo who notices, and that makes sense. He spent the entirety of the show learning from his shortcomings and adapting to be better. He sees Deku is taking on too much, and this gives us one of my favorite moments in anime. Class 1A confronts Deku. They want him to stop being a vigilante and to come back to UA. Their success is entirely dependent on teamwork, and they succeed specifically because Bakugo gives up the main role to play a supporting one. He even says, "I still have things to say to you, but this guy's the one built for speed." Deku's failure to escape directly comes from Bakugo's success as a teammate. Then we get the moment we've been waiting 6 seasons for. Bakugo says what he's always felt, that Deku's actions made him feel inferior, but now he realizes he was in the wrong. Deku was always right, but now he's doing too much. Deku is capable, but he still needs help. For the first time he, like this video, calls Deku Izuku, and he apologizes. Izuku collapses into Bakugo's arms and says he's sorry he said that they can't keep up. And Bakugo simply says, I know. It's a perfect scene. It in every way addresses everything that has been built up between these two for 6 seasons. Which is why it bugs the shit out of me that people call this an unearned redemption. When people say he didn't suffer consequences or earn this, I don't understand. Let's ignore the fact that he nearly died trying to save Deku. There's no need for a talk no jutsu moment or someone to hand out a big punishment. He's been punishing himself for most of the series. Think of all the failures I've mentioned in this video and how he's been impacted by them. How each one has changed his understanding and forced him to adapt. Because it's been gradual and subtle, the complete opposite of most shonen redemptions, a lot of people missed it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there. It was, and it's amazing. It wasn't one moment that shattered his worldview. It was a slow recognition that what he was doing was wrong, and because of how he did things, he kept falling behind someone he initially viewed as beneath him. Sometimes people forget, he's a kid, a super smart, talented kid who let it get to his head and became a bully. But he takes accountability for these actions. He realizes he has no one to blame but himself. There's no tragic backstory, there's no external pressure, it's all on him. And so is his maturation. No one told him to be better, no one forced him to do anything, he did that on his own, and that means something. It also shows the importance of having support and guidance, something he always had when he made mistakes. All of this is confirmed when he fights Shigaraki in the sky. Before his big moment, he literally says, misunderstanding breeds fear and rejection. That's in reference to how he viewed Deku. He says, I know that there are those trying to move forward, even if it takes time. He's talking about others here, but also himself. He visualizes All Might going all the way back to what made him want to be a hero in the first place. And then as he's fighting, riddled with injuries, trying to predict Shigaraki's movements, he understands fully what it's like to be Deku going through what he did, and the last thing he says is, can I still catch up to you, Izuku? From talking about his own weakness, his growth, the reason he became a hero, to relating to and acknowledging Izuku, his entire story plays out in this one scene, and it's beautiful. I hope after watching this, you agree. No redemption gets more hate for being less understood. It doesn't make sense that we can praise abusers, homicidal maniacs, or planet-destroying aliens, but saying that a kid who bullied another kid is going too far. Now, subscribe or die. With that, I'm out.